rather than going the wrong way. So solution number one, going beyond that alignment to strategic contribution. How do we do that? That's via benefits. So you start with, what are your objectives? When we know what our objectives are, particularly for the portfolio, so we're saying we've got a portfolio, okay, what should our objectives be given our strategic objectives? Where's the gap? And the portfolio is then the job is to close that gap. Okay, what are the measurable improvements that will demonstrate we've achieved our objectives? And that's what a benefit is, a measurable improvement. Often you find people say, oh, we have intangible benefits. These are benefits you can't measure. Well, they're not a benefit then. Stop mucking me around. So people, again, are very ill-disciplined in their thinking. People say to me, Steve, it's very difficult to measure the benefits. I say, yeah, but you didn't tell me that in the business case, did you? In the business case, you said you were going to give me the 120. Now give it to me. Stop mucking me around. So there should be some. We've got to be more disciplined. But objectives, benefits, initiatives, and the IPA in the UK government used to refer to this as two-way traceability. You should be able to trace from objectives through to projects and programs via benefits, and you should be able to trace from initiatives, projects and programs through to strategic objectives via benefits. And you'll see there's a model there from Department of Transport. I did some work with them, but broadly speaking, you start on the left-hand side there with the green with the objectives, government or rail, but start with the rail objectives, say what demonstrates we've achieved those objectives are our benefits, and everything below in green and blue, green and a kind of orangey color, and orange and the rather odd-looking bluey green below. That's the projects and programs, delivering outputs. Also that kind of project lingo, but it really is just initiatives, projects, programs, and other related work, whatever's included in the portfolio. Now, I did work for the PMI. That's the Project Management Institute, the largest project management institute in the world. They paid me to do some work, which was great. But I would have paid them. I would have given them the fee back if they told me they were going to say this, because it's genius. Project benefits synonymous with positive strategic impacts. That's the point. So if you say to me, Steve, I'm not sure I agree with you, well, go and argue with the PMI then as well. Yeah. Benefits linked to positive strategic impacts. Not only go and argue with the PMI, go and argue with the New Zealand government. Benefits that aren't aligned to strategy are wasteful of scarce resources, because benefits don't come for free. So I don't really care about your 15 benefits that are doing a benefit to someone else. If we are investing to achieve our portfolio objectives, that's what we're seeking to achieve. That's what matters, not all that other stuff. And I was on that call this morning at 6 o'clock, and there's a really good guy called Scott Early from the ACC in New Zealand. And they adopt that. They've adopted this as one of their principles. So he says, we strip out of the business case anything that isn't linked to we don't report that up because the ministers aren't interested and our senior execs aren't interested. The only thing that goes up is what difference are we making to our strategic objectives. So it's really important. And to take it a step further, this is the language of OKRs. And hopefully most of you have heard of OKRs. This is started with Andy Grove at Intel. It was then taken on by John Doerr at Google, and has since been applied to those minor organizations like Samsung, Disney, companies like that. So, and the book, front cover of the book, Measure What Matters by John Doerr, says the simple idea that is delivering 10 times growth. And you wonder, if it's a simple idea, why have you got a book that's like 350 pages long? But, give them their due, The simple idea is you start with your objective, that's the O, and it's a prioritized objective, because there'll be a whole load of it. So you have to start with the most important objectives. You identify the key results that demonstrate you've achieved your objective. So in our project and program, benefits, the benefits that are linked to and then you do your projects and programs. It's the same 3 legs of a stool. Start with the objectives, then the benefits, then the projects and programs. Of course, what happens in the real world too often is people don't do that. They start with a project and they go looking for benefits to justify it. And surprise, 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 they find benefits. Usually benefits that can't be measured and can't be validated, and benefits that seem to disappear as soon as anyone after the project asks to see where they are. But this is the approach that is now, it's not just me saying it, I say it's the PMI, it's the APM, it's OKRs with John Doerr,